With the love square that this story has going on, it was easy to see early on how those pieces would fall. Okarun has Momo, and Gigi and Ira are kind of to themselves. Outside of that, we have Vamola and the other girls, and Quinta, which, come on, that's not happening. We even saw in the last chapter, Quinta could be in trouble and Vamola just left. But this chapter confuses me, as I've been wrong in the past and don't want to continue now that I'm documenting my thoughts on the series, but I will talk about that later on in this video. Now, talking about pacing and how the chapter flows. With 230, just like 229, we had pretty good flow from this chapter. This one in particular only had 2 parts, but we're able to give time equally as we follow Okarun and Ira on their trip through the museum, as well as Momo and Gigi. As this chapter flows, we get some good dialogue that keeps the chapter going, but it is not feeling too slow, throwing some nice cinematic shots of the dinosaur from Ira and Okarun's side, and of the aquarium from Gigi and Momo's side. Right off the bat, we get a lot from Ira being forward and truthful with Okarun and how she really doesn't like dinosaurs as much as him. But when she found out about going, she wanted to look it up and be prepared and help others to have a good time as well. This is big for Ira, because if we all remember from the beginning of the story, she was very two-faced and seemed like she was that way for a while, even before. And it took Okarun and Momo with some crazy scenarios that they were in to get Ira to finally feel comfortable enough to be herself. Switching to Okarun in this chapter, who actually helps Ira with her feeling okay with giving that information, Okarun lets her know that he did the same thing and that he always does that type of thing before going places as a means to ease whatever process on the trip. This is a good quality about Okarun and one that didn't manifest randomly. It's always been there. We just finally see him comfortable enough to express that to others. Whether it's just on his mind or to make someone feel better, Ira in this case. After this exchange, Ira is pushed into Okarun from the others in the crowd and takes the opportunity to go for a handhold. Okarun usually would freak out, but I think Ira's excuse is good enough for him after she got pushed, so they're now walking around that way. Moving to a different part of the museum, we find Gigi, who is with Momo, and they are walking through the aquarium. This exchange is a little different than with Okarun and Ira, because Momo doesn't have most of her memories and Gigi does. Even though he doesn't know the whole story, I'm sure that he knows a little of Okarun's feelings for Momo, and that it is somewhat mutual, or maybe he doesn't. Either way, these two get a great double spread in front of the aquarium before they comment on the fish and talk about their situation a little. I think to confront her, Gigi goes for a handhold, and Momo seems to get a little flustered, it seems. Now we are switching to Momo's side. She seems very confused about what's going on. She said that Seiko called her and told her they found what should make everything right, they being the Amaterasu group who was supposed to turn Momo back to normal, but was infiltrated. And although Momo is back size-wise, she doesn't have memories, and her powers were stolen from Count St. Germain's group for Sir Vlad. But Seiko relayed that Turbo Granny was with her and she could help somehow too. Now, we did see Turbo Granny previously talking to other spirits, sounding like she was helping our group before, but I don't know if that's actually happening now. Either way, it could just be that she is coming to join the battle to get all the powers back from Count St. Germain and Vlad, because maybe Momo's memories were locked with her powers, and that's why her memories only go up to the day that she met Okarun and awaken her powers. And Gigi and Momo's exchange in the chapter, it does seem like Momo at the end is holding hands, and is maybe just being comforted by Gigi. I'm personally not sure that if anything that happens with Momo's memories like this will mess with her previous memories when they return, but I'm not 100% sure on that. We'll have to see when or if that happens. So now as we talk about the story, we don't see too much story progression in this chapter, other than Okarun, Ira, Gigi, and Momo seeming like they are gaining better relationships with each other, or who they are currently with is the only progression we have. In terms of the whole story, we are not moving too much here. We are just going deeper into the museum and will likely be trapped when the museum ends up being something that Gigi and Momo have to deal with, and either real dinosaurs or skeletal dinosaurs to deal with for Okarun and Ira. Alright, editing me cutting in to say that I was just looking at the video that I was editing, and on page 3, it looks like there was someone who is appearing as a silhouette, or is being shown to us as a silhouette, and that makes me believe that maybe the strange things that will be happening at the museum are only more likely to happen and to be tied to Count St. Germain and his group. I'm interested to see who will show up, if any new characters will show up for us. Likely that ones that went after Yukishiro and Sawaki may show up, or they might be new ones. But alright, back to the video. Regarding lore though, I guess we could say that the last few chapters, it seems like Count St. Germain's group might be talking about Gigi's evil eye power for a last grab as Pinocchio for Vlad's perfect DanDaDan powers, but showing Okaroon, if I remember right, might be a bait and switch. If an attack does happen, Momo is with Gigi, and Okaroon is with Ira. But I've wondered for so long if the reason Count Saint Germain visited Okaroon in school was to steal his innate power, not Turbo Granny's power. You know, because it wasn't cultivated enough yet and didn't take whenever he admitted defeat. This one only makes sense if Count Saint Germain embedded a power in Okaroon before when he was a child or something, or his supposed innate ability or his innate power has something to do with his family bloodline or lineage. That I don't know, but that's only a theory right now so far. Yeah, and for what it was, I really enjoyed this chapter. Although slow and not too much happening, we see the relationships between Ira and Okaroon and Momo and Gigi get a little closer. If you want to believe that Gigi is going to take Momo from Okaroon, you can believe that. I won't stop you. I personally don't think that Yuki Nobutatsu would do that after spending all this time on Momo and Okaroon, but hey, that might be the point. That being said, I will give this chapter an 8 out of 10. Good pacing for what the chapter is, great art as well, like always. I would like to see more hype lore and good action panels in upcoming chapters, but with DanDaDan, we know that we will be getting that sooner or later. Usually just comes with the territory. It's going to happen. Anyways, I'm looking forward to seeing where this story goes, as usual, and what you guys have to say about it when others can actually comment eventually. And I'm going to be trying to do weekly DanDaDan chapters if I can manage that. But with that being said, I will see you guys in the next chapter, hopefully.